Hi, guys. So, welcome to the very first episode of the Meet Me in My Corner podcast. I am Dr. K and I'm your host. Guys, to say that I am super nervous about this is an understatement. I, to be honest, have recorded, deleted so many times because I just want to get it right. And it's so funny because the very first episode is about vulnerability. And a huge part about being vulnerable is to, accept that certain things are just not going to go right. And also just be more gentle and give yourself a bit more grace, right? But I have been struggling, and that is the one thing I truly don't like about myself. I have to be honest about that. I hate that I take away sometimes from experiences that can be so fruitful and so exciting, all because I want to get it right and I want to be perfect. Okay, so this is the very last take. Whatever I produce is what I need to produce, okay? I'm trying to remind myself of the fact that there is a reason why I wanted to start this. And I didn't want to start this so that I can be a perfect version of myself. Definitely not. In actual fact, I started this so that I can untrain my mind from believing that that is the only version of myself that I should put out. That in actual fact, there's a version of me that exists that is wonderful and that is beautiful and hasn't really got an opportunity to live on this earth and to be present. And what I mean by that is that for 30 years, I've lived looking for external validation and I've thrived off of it. And you actually don't thrive. That's the funniest thing. How can I even say I've thrived off of it? You don't thrive. Okay, you struggle. You will starve. All right. I'm a huge people pleaser. I really am. And I was talking to a friend of mine and I just said to her, I don't feel present a lot of the times. And I've realized that I don't feel present a lot of the times because I'm always thinking of the next move. I'm always thinking of how can I be better? How can I do things that will change where I'm at? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with wanting to change where you are, but just actively always thinking about how to be better, how to be on top of things will steal away from moments. And I mean, to be quite honest with you, the saddest thing for me is that even on my proposal, a day that I had been looking forward to for so long, I messed it up for myself because, look, I had already figured out that it's happening. I figured out when I got there. And the whole time, I was just like waiting for the surprise. And I just kept, I couldn't be present. I couldn't be present. Couldn't be present. And when I look back at it, I'm just like, oh my God, I wish I was there. I wish I was there to really enjoy the moment. Yes, fine, the emotions came, and I think they came because I really love Dumelo. I'm obsessed with my partner, and I really wanted this, but I feel like I could have been more present. I honestly felt like I was floating. But anyway, I'm rambling. When I started this podcast, the idea was to really gift my inner child. And I know that sounds cliche, inner child. It's true, guys, it's true. Okay, my inner child has always wanted to be a storyteller. It's always what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to be an actress and so forth, a playwright. That's actually what I thought my life would be, right? And I'm so grateful that I did find myself in the medical world because it's opened up so many doors for me. But my creativity and that other side of me has really been hungry and starving. And the thing is, to be a creative and a true creative means that you need to bare your soul, means that you need to be authentic. And it means that you can't operate from a place of fear. You have to accept that you're going to expose yourself and people are going to have opinions and people are going to criticize you. It's really the difficult part of it. And back in the day when I used to throw myself into it, when I used to write plays and so forth, I used to enjoy that, But I've spent so much time being perfect because as a doctor, we deal with a lot, and the kind of personalities that we deal with are always expecting you to be on top of your game. It's a high critical, area to work in. I've never really worked in a corporate, but I think it would be similar, where people have all these expectations of you, and if you don't meet them, people look down on you. So I've operated from that point for a very long time where I'm trying to be perfect, where I'm trying to be good enough, where I'm trying to be validated. And I've been starving. So my creativity and this podcast is literally a gift to myself to just say, Katleho, enjoy yourself. Enjoy whatever years are left of your life. Start to enjoy it. Go back into your playful self. Have fun again, and people will either like it or not. But the people who will like it will be your community. And that's all you have to focus on. Okay. So yes, the first episode and the first topic is vulnerability. Okay. And it was important for me to speak about vulnerability because when I shared with my photographer that I'm actually not doing anything medically related, he was so shocked. And he was like, why? And I just said to him, I don't want to have that guard up anymore. I have benefited so much from being vulnerable. I mean, it presented me with the community that I have now. A lot of you have actually engaged with me and are probably watching this because you have enjoyed my vulnerability, right? So let's first define what vulnerability is. For those people who might not know or who want a better understanding of it. Okay, so listen, I didn't do extensive research. No, I just went onto Google. All right. So vulnerability is described as a state or a quality in which you are exposed to the possibility of harm or an attack. And this can be both physical and emotional. So obviously, if you hear that, it sounds quite negative, right? And it will sound quite negative because of the society that we have created, where people need to always be perfect, where people always need to operate from a place of, you can't be seen, slipping. You can't be seen slipping. I don't even know where you got that from. You need to be standing on business, whatever, right? Okay. So it'll seem negative if that is your mindset. If you are operating from a place of ego, potentially being exposed or being vulnerable to an attack will sound like the worst thing that can ever happen to you. I'm going to tell you why it's not. In actual fact, I have lost more when I had my guard up and when I was not vulnerable and when I was operating from a place of ego, because I really lost out on meaningful interactions. Okay. So the first thing that really I found as a reward from being vulnerable was that I felt vindicated. And why I say that is because when I chose to be truly, 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 truly vulnerable was during my pregnancy. Okay. You've heard the story before, some of you, right? It's going to sound boring if you've heard it before. I had a lot of pregnancy complications, okay? One of the events that happened during my pregnancy was that I had a cervical incompetence and then had to go for a stitch, right? It's called a cervical cerclage to keep my pregnancy in, okay? So I was at risk of a possible miscarriage. This was the biggest event for me, huge. In my pregnancy, it was the biggest event. It made me hate the whole experience. I was super anxious. I was not happy. I felt completely isolated and alone because I was made to limit the amount of people that know about it to a very small group. And that small group had never had this experience. So I couldn't really relate to them and they couldn't understand why my mind was on overdrive all the time. I mean, my partner got me coloring pencils and books and all this stuff just to, spark the creativity in me. It didn't help. I tried to watch TV. Because TV normally was my saving grace back in the day. I tried to do everything to get out of my mind and to not obsess over the fact that I might lose my child, right? But nothing worked. The only time that I finally got vindicated and felt like this weight was off of me was when I got onto my Instagram and I think I had less than 10,000 followers. And I said simply, I hate my pregnancy. And I actually shared that I'm not enjoying this journey. I'm not enjoying it. And when I shared about the cerclage, because in actual fact, before I felt quite shameful that I was the first woman in my family that had this issue, and I didn't know why I had this issue. I didn't understand. Why do I have this issue? Why is my body failing me? That's what I felt like. It's not, though. It was not failing me. It just is what it is, right? But when I shared about it, and people came back, and some people really related, and even men. I had a man come into my DMs and he was like, you sharing about this helped me understand what my wife is going through better. Also, getting perspective from people who didn't actually take it that seriously. Like it was happening to them, but for them it wasn't like the end of the world. Whereas with me, who's a medical professional and should know better, I felt like it was the end of the world. It was so great to have that support and that perspective. It really vindicated me. And the reason why I use the word vindicated is because I started to then operate from a place of like being authentic in my pregnancy and just telling people that I don't think this experience was beautiful for me. Yes, it seems beautiful, and I understand like the outcome will be very beautiful, but it doesn't feel that way at all. And what that did for me, and that will bring me to my second point, is that it opened up a community for me. Because people felt supported by what I was sharing. They felt validated by what I was sharing. And they were willing to give me so much love and kindness and so much grace. And they wanted to be a part of a community that was that honest, where people would be that vulnerable. And that's why we have Clueless Moms, The other part of that is that it really builds on intimacy. And I'm not talking about sex, chummy. No, not sex. Well, it can make your sex better. But intimacy with a lot of people, in my personal and close circle, because I was being honest with myself, because I didn't want to, look like I've got it all together. People were more willing to be vulnerable with me, and it made us closer to each other. And that is still one of the best rewards, because I feel now I have the best set of friends that I've ever had in my life. I have the best group of people around me. The community is the strongest community I've ever had, the strongest foundation for me. I'm so grateful that I can, expose my child to the people that I've met by being vulnerable. Vulnerability honestly rewarded me with so much in that sense. And yeah, I will always back it. I will always vouch for it. Okay. Another thing is that it also allowed me to get to a point where I don't put shame before my humanity. So the truth of the matter is, if you believe in the human experience, you'll have to understand that we're not going to always get it right. We're actually not meant to get it right. And I don't even know what getting right means, but we're not meant to be these perfect beings. We're meant to just be ourselves and to connect with each other. And yeah, fine. We're also meant to do things for each other, and I guess that's where capitalism and consumerism will come in. But we're not meant to be these perfect and stainless steel people, right? We are meant to really connect with each other. And if you believe in that, then vulnerability is something that you would definitely believe in, because it rids you of shame. It makes you more comfortable with opening yourself up, right? Okay, but there is the flip side to vulnerability, in that you need to be careful with who you're sharing with, or you also need to be careful with the point when you're sharing. If you are not comfortable about what you're sharing, don't share it. Don't share it. If you have this weird feeling, your stomach starts to turn when you share certain information with someone, stop. If you feel like the conversation that you're having with this person is being led by them, and it actually feels like they're prying and they're not actually giving you any information back, they're not being vulnerable, stop. They are prying, and they could utilize that information against you. But if you're at a place where whatever information that you're giving out, you don't mind it being used against you, then definitely, please be vulnerable. Share. We all can't be mysterious. We all can't be mysterious, guys. We all can't be private and, live from that point of view of thinking that, privacy is the best way to live your life. And I'm not saying that because I overshare that there aren't things that I hold sacred, I was listening to Stephen Bartlett's podcast, Diary of a CEO, for those of you who might not know it. And he had an episode with a CIA agent. I forgot his name. Sorry, sir. But he spoke about the fact that when people give information, there's two types of information they can give. They can either give you their sensitivities or they can give you their secrets. Most people don't give out secrets, they give sensitivities. So a lot of people think that because you're sharing sensitive information, so things that really make you feel sensitive, that you're sharing your secrets. Every human being will always want to have things that belong to them innately. I have secrets, guys, and you won't get into the crevices of my mind and my heart and find out those secrets. Those secrets are even something that I hold to myself. They belong to me. They give me my individuality. They're things that I look to when I want to remind myself of who I was before being with my partner, or who I was before being with Nia's mother. You definitely will always have secrets or things that are sacred to you that you will not share. So an oversharer doesn't mean that this person is sharing everything. Okay, if you are, then maybe you need to revisit. I do still feel that there are certain things that you need to keep to yourself, and you need to decide, if you're sharing that information, what do you want it to do? What do you want that information to do? Are you sharing merely because you just want to get it off your chest and you want to vindicate yourself and you want to free yourself? Are you sharing because you want to, expand on your intimacy and also expand your community? Are you sharing because you want to rid yourself of the shame? Are you sharing because you really want to help someone else and you want them to feel validated in their experience? So this is you actually sharing because they have shared something with you, If you're not sharing for those reasons and you're sharing just because you feel forced to or you feel coerced to, I would genuinely say, don't do it. Don't do it. If you get home after oversharing and you feel sick to your stomach, then you need to ask yourself, is it the situation or is it the information? Was I actually ready to share that type of information? Or actually, was I ready to share it with that person? Or maybe I should never have shared it with that person, So yeah, that is the bigger picture of it. That is something that we also need to discuss with vulnerability, and those are the risks, right? But yeah, I definitely do want to say though, there's so much power in being vulnerable, and there's so much power in being happy to, bare your soul and honestly connect with people at such an intimate level and have those meaningful interactions. And yeah, I'm going to continue to be vulnerable. Well, obviously I am. I started this podcast. You guys are going to find out quite a few things about me that I've not really shared a lot on my social media pages, if you do follow me on social media. Some things might scare you, some things might make you laugh, and some things might make you love me a little bit more, But I hope that it'll mean that I will grow connected to more of you. And also, I hope that the information I do share can somewhat be used to make a positive impact on your life. That is the bigger, the bigger picture of my podcast. I really do want to connect to people more, and I want to offer support and help in some way. I definitely do. Okay, so that was the very first episode. Oh, we did it! We did it. But I'm so excited, and I can't wait to see you the next Wednesday. There is so much that you can look forward to. There will definitely be the funny story times that you guys love. But yeah, I'm super excited. Hope to see you next time. Bye.